Hello YouTube, I'm the Gaming Pegasus 187, and this is going to be a review with, obviously, me doing the opening on camera as opposed to a slideshow. So, thinking about some of my favorite games this generation, I go to the Undisputed series. I'm not a big... I like Street Fighter, I like, those type of games, but the Undisputed series makes two of my favorite passions, MMA and video games. Undisputed 2009 was a great game, and I sunk so much time into that online. I think I have like 300-400 some matches in my belt. Undisputed 2010 improved upon a great formula, and the Undisputed 3, and why the hell they changed the name to begin with is beyond me. Going from here to the number, confusing, is one of the absolute best fighting games. And getting to face stomp that cocky prick Anderson Silva is awesome in Pride Mode. Trust me, a lot of us were happy to see him get knocked out. Yeah, mister, you dropped your hands one too many times, and you paid for it with the belt. Now, before UFC became the big global juggernaut it is today, before Forrest Griffin and Stephan Bonner fought 3 rounds, beat the tar out of each other for a 6-figure UFC contract, a game, and way before Undisputed series, even before some of the stuff on the PS2, Pride had their own game. I think I have UFC Tap Out 2 on the Xbox. The granddaddy of all these games, at least MMA-style games, appeared on the Dreamcast and the PlayStation 1. This is Ultimate Fighting Championship. Released for the Dreamcast on August 29th of 2000, the PlayStation 1 on November 13th of 2000, and the Game Boy Color on November 27th of 2000. Fluid Studios developed the Game Boy Color port, Opus developed the PlayStation 1 port, and Anchor developed the Sega Dreamcast port. And of course, Crave Entertainment published the game. The game is your basic arcade-style fighting game. Fights won't last more than 3 minutes, usually. There is very little strategy to the game. You can shoot for takedowns, block and throw various strikes, all in the name of depleting your opponent's stamina meter for the knockout, or take them down and try to get the submission. The roster of fighters range from Boss Rutan and Pedro Rizzo to Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell. Some of the most iconic names in UFC history appear in the game. It's a pretty basic fighting game. Has more of, like I said, an arcade feel to it, as opposed to the Undisputed series, which had way more emphasis on realism and strategy. It's one of the most complex fighting games I've ever played. Every fighter has their own fighting style, and each have their own strengths and weaknesses. Some guys are better at striking, wrestling, ground game, etc. So there is some strategy to the game, but you'll find yourself trying to outstrike your opponent standing up, way more than trying to take it to the mat and going for that ground and pound beatdown, or the submission. The Creative Fighter mode is there. It feels like TNA Impact with its Creative Wrestler mode, but it's passable here. Anyway, this game has a weird quirk. If you set the date on your Dreamcast to now, guys like your Creative Fighter or any fighter in the game will be anywhere from his early 40s to early 50s. So yeah, like Chuck Liddell is like 43, my Creative guy ended up showing up as 52. Over twice my age. Little odd thing I noticed. Kind of goofy, but what can you do? You have your exhibition mode, your versus mode, standard for any fighting game. No, deviation here. But the two main game modes are the UFC mode, where you take your created fighter, or one of the many UFC fighters, through a one-night tournament. You know how UFC used to be back in the early days? And fight 3 fighters in succession to win the silver belt. Then you could take part in the Champions Road, where you fight 12 fighters in succession defending your belt. It's hard, and it's the precursor to the title defense mode in the Undisputed series. UFC on the Dreamcast is a great fighting game and the start of a long line of MMA games for years to come. Pretty cheap to pick up now, extremely rare or anything. You could find it, maybe $5-10 shipped. And if you're a big MMA fan like me, it's definitely worth checking out. Pegasus, out.